How's it going, everyone? It's Daikin signing in here, bringing my very first Melty Blood type Lumina major update guide. So this guide will go over all the general changes that happen for everyone inside the cast. So the system changes that happen, and we're going to be going over the specifics of each character, mainly just the new changes that happen, not the frame data for every character, but the new moves or new properties that every character got in their toolkit. So let's go and start talking about the general changes for Melty Blood type Lumina. The first big change for Melty Blood type Lumina is going to be different HP values. So as you can see here on the screen, there's going to be different HP values. I believe the HP values before, when they were the same, were at 11,000 a piece for everybody, so everybody had 11,000. But now we can see Neko Art having the lowest life at 10,000. The Maids are staying at that 11,000, and everybody else got bumped up to that 11,700. Seems like that's going to be like the standard. Then we see a few characters at the 12,000 mark at Arcueid, Akiha, Vlov, Saber, and Powered Ciel. And then Kouma by himself is sitting at a whopping 12,300. So they obviously wanted to balance the game around HP values, and it makes sense. A lot of fighting games are balanced around these HP values, and we can see Neko Art is going to be the meme character with the lowest life at 10,000 that we just said before. 11,000 for the Maids, because obviously they feel like they're probably pretty strong as far as their toolkit, so they want to keep them at like the lower pool, and then they sort of bumped up everybody as they saw fit. A couple other major changes for Melty Blood type Lumina is going to be the walk speed. So the walk speed for forward walk and back walk is just going to be significantly faster, so you'll definitely be able to feel this. Just everybody universally got a walk speed buff, which is going to be nice. And actually, when you do the forward dash, you actually can act out of it a lot quicker when it comes to guarding and performing attacks. This is going to help a couple of things as far as like doing micro dash pressure. If you want to micro dash back in, you can press your button a lot faster. And if you're dealing with things like, say, like zoning from like Vlov, you'll be able to block a lot sooner than you was before. So we take an example here. If I try to block, see, I'm able to block it a lot better than what you were before. So doing like these sort of micro dash blocks is going to be something that you could definitely utilize a lot more than what you could before. They also increased the invincibility on backstep, and they increased the invincibility against jumping attacks. So if we take like a block string like this, you'll be able to backstep this a lot better than what you did before. So backsteps is already pretty strong, but now they even got even stronger. So if you haven't been using backstep before, definitely consider using it a lot more now, because of the increased invincibility on both against jumping attacks and just natural invincibility. Another big change for Melty Blood type Lumina is going to be the forward air dash change. So before, you actually used to have a lot of landing recovery on this. Now you can see the landing recovery is not that big. So the landing recovery is that little point where the character sort of like goes back to standing right there. So this is going to help a lot when you're trying to actually just utilize your movement, right? Using movement is going to be less of a risk as it was before. So like take like an example versus like Red Arcueid. If we do this and she throws a fireball, we're not going to actually get punished for like going towards her like this as much as we did before. So before, this would be something that she could punish us for. We're trying to jump over this fireball and land over here near her. We'll get punished for doing something like this, but because of the decrease of the landing recovery, the reduction of it, we can actually do this. Another thing that they changed is you actually can do air dash, and there's going to be how fast you can actually block out of the air dash. So air dash is going to have a point where when the character starts descending, they are going to be able to block immediately. So this is going to be, once again, making it to where there's going to be a lot less reduction as far as the risk it takes as far as moving in the air. It's going to be a lot less riskier to do your air options. Now you can still punish the startup of this, which is going to be a little bit harder to hit, but you can still hit the startup of a person's dash. It is going to be a little bit trickier to actually get that to happen. So just keep that in mind, that people are going to be able to block from this a lot faster than what they were before. Another big change to Melty Blood type Lumina is going to be the increased health recovery speed when you are doing blood heat. So there's two heats in the game, as you know by now. There's the regular heat, which is this, and then there's the blood heat. So this is how it normally looks, and this is the speed. But as you can see in this comparison, the blood heat is definitely going to be much faster. Now, before we get into the biggest part of the Melty Blood type Lumina major update, which is going to be the actual shield changes, I want to talk about the class changes and a few others. So the class change, the main things you need to know about this is that when you actually clash with something now, this is what normally used to happen, is that you used to pretty much always have the clash happen, but now they put more priority on attacks that are invincible. So if you have an invincible attack or you have an EX attack that you use, you will naturally go through these attacks a lot better. So if we look at the invincible attack right here, this used to not work before. It would look similar to how this one looks, just like this, and you'll go all the way up in the air. She'll recover before you, and then you'll die. And same thing with these attacks. You would just clash with them and then you would just lose. But now you can actually beat this with this type of thing. So 3C, which is the launcher of the game, is going to have decreased startup, and it also is going to have more invincibility to aerial attack. So it had invincibility before, but now it's going to act faster. So when you see predictable anti-airs or jump-ins, you can anti-air it a lot better with 3C. Now it still has the ability to clash, but if it clashes, the new clash property on this is you can actually jump out of this now. So if there was something like, say, like a multi-hit or like a situation where, like, you know, you clash in the air but the attack didn't come out yet, then you'll be able to jump and make yourself a little bit safer than what you would before. So this is going to make it to where you just have a little bit more safety that wasn't there before. Now this next one is very specific, so I didn't know if I should put it on here, but I said why not. So if you have a command normal that can't be canceled into other normals, when it clashes, you can now jump cancel it. So one of the perfect examples I can think of is Aoko's 4C. Now I don't know if this will ever come up, but if you happen to clash with something along the lines of this, you can now jump cancel this as an option. So they just give you the option to actually jump cancel this now. So you're not just a sitting duck when it comes to the clashing of certain moves like this. And the last big major clash change is you actually don't get health back. So if you didn't know, when clashes actually happen, you actually got health back, but there's no health getting back when it comes to clashes unless it has to do with an EX move. So if there's clashing happening with like EX moves, then it will happen from there. So if you're in like the moon drive and you're clashing from this, that is when the health situation will start to come back into play. But they took it out of normal clashes, so they wanted to make it to where it's a little bit more special for when the HP actually happens when it comes to clashes. I still don't even know why that's a thing inside the game, but as long as it's not happening as much, and I guess it's okay. So the first of the last two major changes we're going to talk about before we get into the shield stuff is going to be the blowback edge jump attack. So blowback edges are the charge attacks in the game. They're going to have more landing recovery when they actually whiff. So before, you know, there were characters that had very strong ones, like say like Kohaku, and she would just like sort of play neutral like this. Now it's going to be a lot easier to actually make this. If you make this whiff, you can actually get a punish on it a lot easier than what you could before. So you see, it's just sort of just, it could just sort of land on you. You can just sort of just punish it as soon as they land, and it's going to be a lot easier to do than what it was before. Before, this was much harder to do, and it was kind of hard to like stop people from doing this because of not having landing recovery. But now that it has increased landing recovery, it's going to be a lot easier to actually whiff punish these type of moves, especially if you don't have one yourself. This is definitely something that is much appreciated. Now this last one, I definitely want to go back to the character select screen to talk about it, because we are talking about rapid beat. So a lot of people had concerns about the rapid beat system, which is the auto combo system in the game. So now you have a lot of options of how you want to utilize it. So rapid beat on is just the standard way of how it works now. So whatever button you press, if you press it again, you'll get the second hit of auto combo, and press any other button, then you'll get a third. And then you can put it onto AB. So this makes it to where it will only come out if you press A plus B. So I can start mashing the A button, and now it won't come out. Rapid beat off simply means you won't have rapid beat at all. So this, it just means it's completely out of the game. You cannot use it. It's just off. So if you don't want to have it, this is how you can play it. And the last one is going to be rapid beat air off. So if you just are comfortable with how it works on the ground at the moment, but you don't want it inside the air, maybe the air version is messing you up. There are times where the air version can mess you up, which we'll talk about two different examples for both of these and talk about which ones I think is going to be the best. So now that you can see my inputs, you would notice that when I press 5A, auto combo doesn't come out. When I mash 5B, auto combo doesn't come out. But when I press A plus B off of this, that is when it actually comes out. Now, I don't know exactly what they mean by air off or with the AB, because when you actually try to do it with these settings on, if I try that and I press AB, notice how he just mashes A, right? So he just mashes A. So you have to do it manually in the air still. So maybe this is something that you are okay with. If you are okay with that, then by all means, this is going to be a fine feature. This one is fine. But, you know, BC or whatever the air combos usually people do aren't usually too difficult. So that's the part that I think is going to be fine. Now, where this does come in play, say, for example, if you have a staircase combo, or not staircase combo, but a combo where you do a relaunch, like something like this, something that would happen before because of the actual thing was something like this. So you would go for this, you'll go for this, and then you will try to go for this, and it will give you the air throw, right? So you don't want the air throw, but because of the settings, it will give you air throw. Now you can't get the air throw like that, so it locks you out of that situation altogether, and it just makes it to where you could just get the combo you want a lot more consistently. So this combo that Shiki players like to do is going to be a lot more consistent than what it was before, because you don't have to worry about that missed input. Same thing is going to be applied to when you have the air version off. So this is going to make it to where it works on the ground. So you see I have it on the ground, so I can just match it on the ground, it happens. But when I go into the air and I try to do it, it doesn't happen. So you can do whatever you want inside the air without having to worry about that. So same thing applies if you have these type of combos. You don't have to worry about it in the air because it's not going to come out until you land on the ground. So if your problem is the air combo version, then this is something you can run to make sure that that doesn't happen. So these are the two different ones, and I think the A+B one is probably going to be the best one for people who would get a little bit more comfortable, because you don't have to worry about those mistakes. You can always get that A+B whenever you want it. But obviously, if you want to play in a way where like you want some type of mash ability, then maybe the air version off will probably be the way to play, so you can do your actual relaunch combos without having to worry about the actual situation. And finally, before we go into character specific, it's time to talk about the major changes to shield inside of Melty Blood type Lumina. So the first thing you'll notice is when you actually hold shield, it actually gradually reduces your moon gauge. As you can see, it's gradually depleting, and once it actually goes down to 0 or there's nothing there, it simply stops. Now you can still do the shield, but you can no longer hold it, right? You only get the tap shield version. So this is something that they put in play, so you can't just hold the shield, especially if you got it and like a person is like going for something and like you want to hold it. You can't hold it for as much as you want to before. So this is definitely just going to be a little bit more punishing, similar to like how it was in classic Melty. Now another thing that they did is going to be the failed shield. So failed shield is when you actually go in the wrong direction. So when you do a standing B or C normal on a crouching shield, it will simply do chip damage to your opponent, and they will lose 2 versions of their moon gauge. So rather than just 1, so if you tap it just once, it loses once, they will lose 2. So just showcase that right there. They lost 2. So you see the difference between my 1-tap shield and theirs. That's how much they lost. So you lose a lot from the actual shield, and you actually do chip damage, like I said. Now the chip damage you do is going to be depending on the normal. So if I do a standing B normal, this is how much it does. But if I do a standing C normal, this is how much it does. So it's definitely going to be a huge difference in the amount depending on the normal that they actually hit it with. Now the other thing is you can actually blow right past a crouching shield with standing normals that are going to be charge attacks. So if there's a standing normal that's a charge attack, it will go through it. So we take this for example, this will actually fatal counter it. So this is going to give you a punish on these shields. So if you're doing pressure, like say something like pressure like this, and then you do this inside of it and it has a gap and they do a crouching shield, you will just straight up fatal counter them for their attempt. So this is going to make it to where there's a lot more of a better mind game than when a person was doing it before, because they could just do it and sort of just beat everything. This is what people wanted. They wanted a more mind game. So this is going to make it to where there's a lot less shield RPS as far as successful shields, because of the way you can establish your pressure now inside of the actual game. A small tidbit to keep in mind when it comes to shield, it is for standing B and C normals, not any command normal. So if you do a command normal like we say Saber 6C, this will actually still get shielded, so you can't do it when it comes to that. Also, if you have a projectile, those will also not count because it's not a standing B or C normal. And even if it is like once example, Dead Apostle Noel, the 6C to charge, that will also not work, because once again it has to be basically your standing 5B or 5C. Those will be the only ones that will be beating this crouch shield. 2 more major changes to shield is you actually recover from a shield in the air a lot sooner than what you did before. So before, when a person did this and you shoot it back, it was almost like a guaranteed punish, which you can still get the punish, it's just much harder to actually get. So we do it right here. You see, it wasn't a punish right there. It is still a timing where you can get it. It's just much harder to get than before. It's still slightly there, but it's going to be a little bit harder. There we go. We got it that time, but it's definitely going to be a little bit harder to get that punish. They wanted to make sure it wasn't necessarily as easy as it was before. So they still want to give you a reward, but they don't want to make it as easy as it was before because of how strong it was. And the last big major shield change I want to cover is the Heat OS. So before, you used to be able to OS it, this, and it used to look something like this. And used to be able to do it for the charge version as well. But now what they did is they made the charge version of Heat completely involved to crouching shield. So if we do it right here, the hold version just straight up just bypasses it. It just doesn't work no more. Now what you can do is do a stand shield. So if I do a stand shield on it, this will still work just like that. So any character that has a low button where they can go for like something like this and then go like this will probably be very good for those characters. Any character that got any of the new lows that we're going to talk about in just a second. But for the characters that don't, they will have to figure out different ways to do their pressure or do the OS standing, so they can still try to bypass this like that. So it is still in the game. It's just a little bit more nuanced than it was before. So like I mentioned, I want to go over the big changes for every character inside of Melty Blood type Lumina. We're not going to go over every change, but this the major changes. Of course, I will put the patch notes that were translated by someone in the description below so you guys can check out all the changes for yourself. But I just want to go over a few major ones and talk about how they're going to, of course, afflict the character or change how the character is going to be played. So Shiki's 5A standing A is now a low attack, so you could actually change this anytime, and this is going to be a low along with his 2A. So he has multiple different lows now because of this option. This is going to make his pressure a lot better. You could do empty jump low a lot better than what this was. You can do this now too, and this is a multi-hitting low just like how it was before. It's just interchangeable, so he just has another low as disposal, which is going to be nice for his pressure. The other thing is he actually got a new move. So of course, when he inside of this, he gets the install, and he actually has a feint now. So he has a charge version, and it doesn't have the animation no more. So they took out the animation for this, but this is going to be a feint. So person is going to probably stand up, and you can sort of go for like the low like this. So it's just another option. Now the old Nania, when he did something like this, he can act out of this if you press the button. He is not going to be able to do that. So there's nothing like that, but you can still try to mix up your opponent with this option, which is going to be nice if you hold the button. So you can do something similar like this, hold the button, and then go for your pressure right there, go for a low, and then go for something like that. Something like that, just try to throw your opponent off and then try to get that feint. So don't know how useful it will be, but it is one of the new moves that they gave him. The last big change for Shiki is going to be 236A. It's actually going to put them in a crumple state now. So rather than before, it used to actually just hit them, and then that's all it is. But now it puts them in a crumple state, so you can probably get a full a conversion off of it. I don't know exactly what you'll get off of it, but you can actually get a full-on conversion off of it now somehow. So this is probably going to be good for some combo things, or it's just simply good for just taking a knockdown. You can use this opportunity to go for some type of mix-up. You can do sort of the float mix-ups and stuff like that. So you can play around with it and see exactly what you can do off this. This is going to help his sort of mid-range game a lot better because of the way it works. And of course, not only did they do that, but it also reduced the startup on his 214A. So this is going to be better to use as far as combos, or once again just using inside of pressure because of the reduced startup and a reduced recovery on this. So Arcueid got a few new moves actually, and this is going to be in the form of her J2B. So she has a charge version of this now, which is going to halt her momentum. So this is how it normally was. And then she can sort of halt her momentum inside the air, and it actually causes a ground bounce. So you can actually get a ground bounce opportunity and pick this up for a full combo. So you actually get a full combo off of this now, which is pretty cool. Areka got even better because they wanted to reduce the damage scaling on it. So reduce the damage scaling on this on top of giving it a new attack. So you probably won't notice the difference. I'll show it right here. So this is how it looks normally, and then this is the new attack. See if you can tell the difference. Very slight difference there. But what it actually does is it actually launches them in the air. So normally it keeps them on the ground, but the new version of it, if you hold back on the Rekka, it launches them in the air, and you can pick this up for a combo too. So if you do this just like this, you can pick this up for a combo. So I once again don't know the usefulness for this, but they did say they want to have more tools for characters and give them more combo potentiality. So that is the beauty of this. There's going to be a lot more combo routes that are going to be out there that you can utilize. Some may be more optimal than others, but it's just more tools to play around with for all your characters. They also increased the upward hitbox of her JA and the forward hitbox of her JB. So this is going to make it to where she can do pressure like this a lot better. This is going to be very good for catching people out the air, because if they're jumping, you get hit with this and then sort of go for a launch combo like that. So that's something that's always been good with the character. And they actually made the 4C go way further than before, so it goes farther, and it has a reduced startup, so it's just going to naturally just be a better move to probably use a neutral than it was before. So you're definitely probably going to be able to throw this move out a little bit more than what you could before. So Akiha also got some pretty nice tools to play around with as well. So her standing A is actually going to be a low, which makes sense in my head because this move looks like a low and always been a low. So I'm super happy to have this low back for Akiha. This just makes sense. There also are a few other things she can do that mess around with. So the command grab is actually going to have reduced damage scaling, so you're actually going to be able to get a much better combo on this than you were before. So this tool is just more inside the game than it was before, which is nice. So a lot more people are definitely going to be utilizing this tool for sure. And she also got a couple of new moves, so this is going to be one of her new moves. She can actually toss out the fire and then move it backwards by just holding the forward direction with a button. So you just press it and then you press a button and it moves it back just like that, which is going to be very interesting. There's a couple of tricks you could do with this to where you don't have to press a button if you press the button and hold it at the right timing, you can do it, make it come out even without pressing a button or making a normal comes out. It's a little bit tricky to do, but you can do it. See if I can get it one time. Just like that. So you see I was able to move back with it without pressing the button again. Just simply like a double tap motion is what I do for it. That simply works for me. So like I said, there's a couple of probably ways to probably do it. Don't really know the usefulness of this tool, but it is one of the new things that she got. One of the other big changes she got is this is actually going to be jump cancelable now, so you can actually get a full conversion off this if you are close enough to get it. So both of the B and A version is going to be jump cancelable now. This is going to be very good for, you know, if you, especially if you got them in the corner and you know they're going to try to jump out or something, you can pick this up for a full conversion with Akiha now, which is going to definitely help her out as far as keeping her screen position and keeping control of the situation. So for Ciel, it seemed like she took a lot of increased damage scaling nerfs, unfortunately, but she did make up for it in the reduced recovery or reduced startup of this move right here. She also got the new ability to actually jump cancel this right here. So if you do the 236A and you do a move off of the wall or any of the keys afterwards, you could jump cancel this, which is nice. And she now has a unblockable from her super. So this super right here, the one that calls 1 bar, if you fully charge it up, which is new, you could charge it up now. If you charge it up, it becomes an unblockable. So this is going to be something that's new for her. Don't know how useful this will be, but she does have an unblockable at her disposal from her super that you could try to sneak in. So not too much has changed for little Hisui. She did get a new move, which is going to be a blowback version of her actual moon skill, which is going to be this. So if you hold it, you actually can put out 2 at one time. So this is going to be pretty nice for some setups and stuff like that. You definitely put 2 out now, and then of course if you have more of it, you can have more out. So you know, if you want 4 out, you can have 4 out if you really want to have 4 out. So you can just, you know, just put as many out as you have moon skill gauge, which is going to be very interesting. Another big change is 3BC is actually going to be jump cancelable. So this is going to make combo routes a little bit easier if you're a Hisui player. Maybe there's going to be new routes that you could do because of this. So definitely mess around with that and see what is going to be available with the new 3BC jump cancel. So Kohaku also didn't get too many crazy changes, but there are a couple of different things here. So first off, they took out the actual animation for the feint. So the feint no longer has the charge animation like the B version. So the A version no longer has that little, you know, the blowback little animation with the sort of swirl. That no longer happens. But she also got 2 new moves, which looks very interesting to play around with. So the Witch Flight, right? The Witch Flight, you can actually go backwards with it now, and it has a double invincibility. Now, if you press the B version, she actually does press something and it comes out like this. If you don't press nothing, then it doesn't come out and you just sort of just hover in the air and you just sort of go back like that. So this is something that happens like that. But if you press, like I said, the B version, then you can sort of fly back the other way and get 2 Molotovs out rather than the normal. If you do it, just press 1 and you get 1. So you get 2 out in this version, which is going to be something interesting, and you still get combos off of it, so nothing crazy different about that. And also you got a new blowback version for 22B. So the normal 22B with the plant just sort of spins, but if you hold it now, it starts flying. Like this plant starts moving towards the opponent, which is going to be pretty interesting as well. This is going to be definitely something that's going to be pretty interesting. And of course, the Maids together didn't really get any buffs outside of them having a new unique mechanic that I think they wanted to introduce because of the HP values. So if you remember before, we talked about the HP values of the Maids staying the same while a lot of the rest of the casts basically went up, because I guess they feel the Maids tool set is so good that they should probably have a little bit of a downside. Well, in order to make it to where it is something that you actually have to keep up, you can actually regenerate life by actually switching between the Maids. So I think I sort of like this mechanic just because it sort of makes it to where they want to encourage the use of both Maids together rather than most people who like to play like a single Maid. So if you actually clap, you'll see that you start to regenerate life just like that. And it regenerates a little bit and then it sort of just stops from there, and then you can do it again and you sort of regenerate again. So by utilizing both Maids, you can upkeep your health and get a little bit more life back than what you would normally have. And of course, you know, if you do your heat, then of course you can get all that life back too. But it's just another way to get life back that I guess they wanted to put in for if you are switching and using the Maids like they intended. Kouma also got some pretty good quality of life changes, like some increased ranges on moves or reduced recovery on certain things, reduced startup and all that good stuff. He also only got 1 different move, which is going to be his B236B. He actually has a charge version of this now, which is going to be armored because the character also needed more armor. But besides that, it's just a bunch of stuff just messing with his landing recovery, you know, stuff being like that, increased ranges and stuff like that, and reduce recoveries and stuff like that. That is the main thing they try to do. So I guess they just wanted him to be a little bit more stable and be a little bit less risky when it comes to his options. So Miyako also just got nice quality of life things with a bunch of reduced recovery and some increased travel distance, but she also did get one new move. She got a brand new move, which is going to be the 6B. It's basically the 5B animation, the same thing. It just sort of moves forward, so she has like a little step with it now, and this is going to be just a new move in her kit that she can utilize to basically close the distance, or of course use in combo potentiality. So this is another way for her to sort of, you know, push her advantage, get in and stuff like that. Pretty happy that, I mean, obviously she got a new move, pretty cool. And then the fact that she could just get in a little bit better. Not that she had a problem with that, but of course, you know, they just wanted to help her out a little bit when it comes to that. And of course, the reduced recovery on certain things, so she can sort of press her advantage a little bit more without having to feel like it's too much of a risk. So Noel actually got two interesting changes inside of her toolkit. The first one being she actually has a DP now. So her 2-2B is now frame 1 invincible. So this is a actual DP now. Before, she would have to use the EX version, but no longer do she have to use EX. She just naturally has a DP, which is going to be very good for her. She also got a new move from her actual Rekka series. This move right here, she can actually do forward and actually dash cancel it now. Now, I don't know how useful this is going to be, because if you do this in 214B, let's say something like this, you can basically do that and then sort of just pick it up for a combo naturally, right? Like, you can already get combos from this tool, but if you do the dash cancel, it takes out the combo potentiality. So I don't really know exactly what it's going to be used for. Maybe it could be used for some resets or something like that, but this is going to be one of the new tools that they actually gave her. Now, we know she can already do it from a 2-3-6, and this is going to also have reduced recovery, so it's going to be easier for you to follow up behind this to actually get more pressure, or to try to pick it up for an opportunity. So y'all boy honest mid Michael Roa not looking so honest no more, because he actually got a 5A low as well. So a low is definitely in this man's future. You can see right here, he definitely has a low now on top of his 2A, so he just has another option that he could utilize, and this is going to be this more rapid B pressure that he could do just like that. So this is going to be very good for him. He also got two new moves. So if you do the actual 214A and you charge the next attack, which is the B, or just A or B, whichever one you charge, you actually can get the charge B version to come out just like that. So it's another way for him to actually just establish pressure, which is going to be very beneficial for him. He don't have to worry about that. Now, he can't do it the opposite way, so you can't do 214B and then get like a charge version of the other attack. There isn't one of that attack, but you could definitely get that to come out now, which is going to be nice. And this is going to do, you know, a decent amount of chip damage and just overall just better pressure, right? So this is going to be something, and it combos into itself. He also got another new jump normal, J2C, which is this attack right here. So this is how it looks, and this is how it performs in combos. So it actually do give you a ground bounce opportunity. You can actually follow up after you actually do his attack, which is going to be good for him, right? So he is just going to have just more combo potentiality than ever because of this new attack. He doesn't have to do the same routes. He can always do something a little bit different. Once again, people are definitely going to optimize this tool and see how it actually is going to work out for him. But it's just nice to see new tools for good old Michael Roa. So believe it or not, they actually buffed Vlov again. So he has a new standing 5C charge, which is going to be this. This is going to be good versus characters that are trying to do crouch shield, right? So if they do a crouch shield, this will just straight up beat them. And he has the reduced startup on his 6C. So 6C by itself is just natural, but with the charge version, we know this is the overhead. This overhead is going to be faster than it was before. It still looks like it's a bit, you know, still looks reactable, but it definitely is going to be a little bit faster than what it was before. He also got full on reduced recovery on his 214 B series, which is the Rekka series. The reduced recovery on all of this, which allows him to press his advantage a little bit more once he actually sort of goes through the motions and stuff like that. He'll seem like he'll have a little bit more combo potentiality because his 4BC is now going to be jump cancelable, so he can do stuff like this now. So he could jump cancel it or do instant air dash with it. You know, he make up all sorts of different type of things. So maybe it'll be more damage for him. Maybe it'll be a little bit more optimized than what they could do before. We will see once people optimize the new routes for this move for sure. Now, Red Arcueid is looking like she's eating pretty good because these changes look really strong. So right off the bat, 6C, the move we all know and love that looks like a cross up but not a cross up, is now a low attack. So this move goes very far now. They increased the forward range, so it goes extremely far, has increased active frames, and is now a low attack. Her 2CC, so this is like her sort of additional moves you can do, has reduced recovery, but now there is a new blowback edge version of this attack, which is actually unblockable. So it's armored and it's an unblockable attack. They also increased the range downwards for her 5C and standing 5C, the blowback edge version. So this is a lot more consistent, only hitting people that are crouching. For some reason, this will like whiff on crouches a lot. That is something that's not going to be happening as much. So this is going to be very good for this character as well. A couple other things that they did is they took out the actual sort of effects for the sort of teleports. So when you do the teleports, there's no effects on them when you're doing the charge versions on them no more. So that is something that is going to be there. Just keep that in mind. And apparently you can act out of them a lot faster now. So you see, able to act out of them much faster than you were before. She also got another additional move in the form of her J214B. So before, you know, you could do the double attack and it looks something like this. This is how it normally looks, and that is the distance that it covers. It covers this distance right here. But now you can actually press forward and you could cover a different distance. Notice how it goes full screen. So before it looks like this is the regular, but if you hold forward with it, you now get one that goes a lot further than what it used to. So this is going to allow you to cover more range than you were before. This already got buffed before this right here, but now she can cover the full screen range pretty much due to this new projectile. So once again, her zoning capabilities and her ability to convert off her zoning already got better once, and now it's looking like it's going to get better even again. So Saber also got some nice quality of life changes in the forms of a bunch of reduced recoveries and of course increased ranges on a lot of moves, just so they can hit a lot further and sort of anti-air and just make sure she's a little bit more consistent than what she was before. She also got a few cool new tools that she can mess around with. So the Rekka is actually going to have a new follow-up, which is going to be this dash follow-up. So if you press forward, you can actually do this dash, and this counts as the second hit of the Rekka itself. So from that, you can actually go into the overhead, or you could go into something else. So this is going to be something that you're going to be utilizing now, or you can sort of mess around with it if you delay it a little bit and do other things. Like you can go for like a throw, or you can go for another option. Like you can go for sort of the backstep option like that. And you know, if this has like sort of the frames coming in, they also took off the effect of this as well when you're utilizing it. So they took out the effect, but it still has the actual effect of it has clash frames on it, so you can still utilize it like that, but it just took off the actual just blowback effect. And the other new move she got is going to be the charge version of her J236B. So this is going to be something she could utilize now. She could get a combo off of it before, but now she's going to be able to definitely get a combo off of this version. It also stalls her in the air a little bit more than the regular one, so if you needed that, then that is, you know, something that you could utilize it for. But don't really know the actual practicality of this one, to be honest, but I'm pretty sure people will definitely come up with some new things. Once again, just a bunch of new tools for every character to mess around with, for new combo theories, and just overall making the game a little bit more exciting. Once again, Dead Apostle Noel is also in one of those quality of life changes where she got a lot of reduced recoveries and of course some increased ranges on tools, just to make herself a little bit more consistent when it comes to actually hitting with her normals and stuff like that. So she does have one cool new trick that she could do, which is going to be with the charge version of her projectile. So when you charge it, you can press the button again, and it actually gives you a teleport, similar to how the regular one would give you the teleport. This one would do a teleport, but this one doesn't have a hit on it. It's just simply a teleport to move to the opposite side to make it a little bit more tricky. So you could do something like that and go for a mix-up or something, and you can do this in the air. Now the one thing about the air version is you can't actually press anything. So you know, when you do this, you are stuck until you touch the ground. This is something you probably definitely only want to utilize if, say, they like were really close to you and you realize they were, and you just try want to teleport and get to the other side really quickly. That's probably what you use that one for, but the ground one seems like you can act out of it pretty fast, similarly like this. So definitely I think the ground one is definitely going to be something that people are definitely going to be utilizing, and just seemed like an overall just fun tool. Aoko also got some pretty nice changes as well. So 5C is going to be a lot more useful inside of block strings. Before, when you try to use this move in a block string, it was just so far out that you actually couldn't utilize it. So now it actually goes in a lot further, and the charge version actually goes in much further as well. So you'll definitely be able to hit with it inside of block strings a lot better than what you would before, which is going to be nice overall. They also gave her a brand new move, which is the blowback edge 6C. So this right here, and this is actually going to be an overhead. So this is a brand new overhead that she's going to have. So outside of the 4C you can utilize, you can now just start putting in some, you know, some 6Cs, some charged 6Cs, and it's another overhead that your opponent got to worry about, on top of her 5A also now being a low as well. So 5A for her is also a low. They also increased the range that her actual air dash actually covers, so covers more distance, and JB actually hits from behind now. So you could do stuff like, say, you know, utilizing the new air dash, probably do something like this, and then do that to like cross up and sort of have that happen, right? So you can sort of do these little cross-up situations with her now because of the JB actually having a cross-up hitbox behind it. On top of this, they also increased the range of this move right here, so this goes way further than what it did before, so you're going to be able to cover a little bit more distance. And they increased the range of all her sort of jump projectiles, so the A version, the moon skill version, and the super version all got some buffs as far as the range they cover, so cover a little bit more distance than what they did before. So unfortunately, Ciel didn't get any new moves. I mean, it makes sense, this is a pretty much a new character, but they did get a new cancel. So 214C, which is going to be, so unfortunately, Power Ciel didn't get any more new moves. Well, it makes sense, they are one of the newer characters in the game, but they did get a new cancel. So the 214 series is now going to go into the super, a new super that you can do. So this super right here, one of the supers that you have, you can actually cancel this into this by pressing 66C, and it's going to have armor on it. So if they happen to block this, you're going to have a armored super that you could do to sort of mix up and stuff like that. They also are going to have some pretty good other things that they put inside there. So she's going to have reduced startup on the 236 series as well, and it's going to have more cancel window on actually doing the blowback. So if you want to cancel into this, it's going to be a lot bigger of a cancel window. You can do it after the last shot a lot much later than it was before, so this is also going to be very good for her. And they made it to where it's a longer tech time on the JB and the J3B. So when you actually do utilize these tools, there's going to be less time that the opponent can actually sort of, you know, get up off the ground. So you can actually pick up for a combo much easier than what you could before off of these tools, which is going to just help her overall consistency as far as her combo game, because some of her combos were a little bit hard, so they're trying to make them a little bit easier than what they were before. And lastly, Mario, who also seemed to get some quality of life changes as well. So apparently there was something that they can be blocked or guarded with forward inputs. I didn't really know about that, but they did do some nice things. He got actually a new move. So I guess this one character, Power Ciel, that didn't get a new move. This right here. So he has Charge 2B now, which is going to be a multi-hitting attack. Apparently this attack is supposed to be very good against backdashes as well. So if you read opponent's backdash, because of a multi-hitting attack, you can sort of chase it down with this Charge 2B. 236A is also going to have more on tech time, so you can actually run up behind this a lot more than you could before. So you got time to run all the way up just like that, so you don't have to worry about this. So say if you don't have any meter, and this would be something that would be very good for that type of situation. And the last big thing is Mario can actually jump cancel their J for BC now, which is going to allow for some other combo potentiality that probably wasn't there before. So this is going to be something that's definitely going to help out, especially if, you know, you're playing this mid-range and you're around here. You can sort of just jump cancel this and sort of pick up where you couldn't before. So definitely something that Mario players are going to be utilizing to actually pick up for some combos. And lastly, a super got buffed because Noel actually just appears closer to the opponent. So when you actually do the super, Noel appears much closer to the opponent, making it to where it reduced the startup because of the difference of the travel time that Noel has to do. So this is going to be better as far as how he can actually utilize the super to sort of punish things like that. And that pretty much covers all the major changes to Melty Blood type Luna. Like I said, I will put in the link down in the description below the patch notes that I got this stuff from, so you guys can check the in-depth if there's anything you want to see on the specifics of certain characters, or go more in detail on some of the battle changes that we talked about here. Anyway, if you like anything I had to say, drop me a like, I really appreciate it. And if you want more from me, follow my socials. Also, don't forget to subscribe and turn notifications so you know the next video goes live. As always, my name is Daikin, and I'll see you next time. Signing out.